Hello everyone, today I'm gonna show you how to make a simple inventory system in Godot 3.4 using C# that will work on mobile devices. It is the second part of the video where I will teach you how to make a simple equipment system for your game. This tutorial will be based on previous tutorial I made for YouTube, so we're gonna start in the same project. If you didn't watch the previous tutorial, I will leave a link in description and try to make annotation on this video in this particular moment. So last time what we did, we got our inventory container, inventory script and overlay. So we're gonna start with making our overlay screen a bit more complex. Let's go to overlay scene. I'm gonna duplicate this button, just gonna name it Pt.2 equip. I'm gonna remove signal for now and just gonna change a text. I'm gonna dynamically change text in there, and just to make it look nice, I'm gonna rename button to button close. That's basically it in editor. Now we're just gonna go and add pressed signal on it. We're gonna copy that. So in C# we don't get function created, so we're just gonna copy that, and to connect our equip pressed button we're gonna do that. I just wanna rename it to look the same. Pressed. I'm gonna reconnect it. Probably button, right? Cool. So for this inventory system, we will introduce an item class. So we want to go here and create a new folder. We're gonna call it items. We need a base class, which will be item.cs. That class will be relatively simple. We're gonna use using Godot public class item. Be sure the items are inherited with Godot object. In this class we'll have texture property, so we can apply it in our inventory. Public texture and equals, we're gonna load our icon PNG because all our icons will be replaced with items now. Gonna be texture, the load icon PNG. That's base class for our item. So then we want to add shield and sort. We're gonna add file, new file, shield.cs. Relatively simple. I'm gonna copy that item object. We paste. I'm gonna rename item into shield, and instead of object, shield will inherit item object, and we just need a constructor. In this constructor we're gonna load texture, load shield PNG, and I created for this tutorial 4 icons that I'm just gonna drop into our project folder. We're gonna drag them here. So we got our 4 icons. What I want to do is re-import them without filter, so they won't look blurry. Actually I'm gonna do it for the icon as well. So re-import all. You want to do it every time you import pixel art. You're gonna select all and press Ctrl KF. So it's auto indentation in Visual Studio Code, which is very useful. The next thing we want to do is just copy our shield file, paste it, and rename file to sort. And then here everything same, sort, inherit items, sort, and sort PNG. As simple as that. We don't want to just retype everything, right? So next let's implement equip and unequip in our overlay class right now. First of all, we want to delegate 2 new signals. How to do it in C# is relatively simple. We just declare signal, public, delegate, void, equip, what we want to pass. In our case, we're just gonna pass item, which is gonna be current item. And second signal will be unequip, which is exact same thing, unequip, obviously. And because we need current item eventually, we're gonna define a local variable item, which is gonna be equals null at the start. So in previous tutorial just to show what item we pressed, we simply access overlay scene label. So now to pass more information, we're just gonna create a few methods that will help us with that. The first one is gonna be show info, so the public void, and we're gonna pass item because we will need access the texture. And we're gonna pass ID just to print out what item was pressed. And if item is null, we won't do anything and just return. That's a little safety feature. First of all, we need to show the overlay. It's gonna be done simply through this visible equals true. So now we want access our label. I'm gonna name the label get node. Simple thing as we did before. It's background slash label. And then we also want our button, and because if it's gonna be shield or sword, we will change, we will show the second button and we will change accordingly if it's equip or unequip. So button and we're gonna access button equip. Need to be sure that we don't have misspelled in our names, and we need texture rect, which is we didn't rename it, so it's basic name, background, texture rect, semicolon. Okay, that's all stuff we need to show our information. First of all, we're gonna set a texture of our texture rect to represent item we clicked. It's done through texture, and because we have item and we already know it's not null, we can access simple texture. Label text gonna be same ID as before. We're just gonna type item plus ID to string plus was just to show information of what item we have pressed. And we're gonna set up current item equals item, and we need to set up visibility of equip button. So visible equals item is sword or item is shield, which this statement will return true if item is sword or item is shield. And because at this point we cannot unequip anything, because this show info will be used from just clicking on items in inventory, we'll always set text of the button to be equipped. So in this case we're gonna come back to our inventory class, to the line where we actually do display logic, and I'm gonna erase this. So here we accessed our overlay, but we cast it as a control. Now we're gonna cast it as overlay, which will give us ability to use show info method. See, we need to pass item now and ID, but because we don't have item yet, I'm gonna keep it like that. Get ID. We have display items is basically integer. So let's implement item array, which will erase the items. We're gonna declare private variable, gonna be list item, items equals new list item. And we can see error because we need to add using system collection generate. And now we're gonna add a little logic that will just populate item array with random items. Well, I'm not gonna do like random items, it's just gonna be 3 blocks of different items we have. And this is done for testing purposes. In your case, you would just have your inventory items, right? What player has. Simple for loop until 20 and plus items. Excuse me, new item. So we're gonna add 20 items. I use Ctrl D to duplicate code. So we're gonna add 20 items, 20 shields, and shield, and 20 swords. Now we need to fix errors because we removed display items. Everywhere we used display items, we need to replace it to be items.count. And because we're not gonna use just single update slot from here, and we're gonna call it all the time, we'll have to clean items from our inventory when it's necessary. So to clear inventory, you just simply need to loop through all the children of this class and remove them. This is not efficient way to do it, but because inventory should not ever exceed like 100 items or something like that, you will never get performance issue in this place. We're gonna create our collection array. I'm gonna name it items to delete, and we're just gonna get simple this get children and loop for every child we have items to delete, semicolon obviously here, and just simply remove the child. This remove child. I'm gonna cast it to texture rect and items to delete. Hey, just in case accidentally we get other children that we don't want to delete. So instead of using the generic texture we have here, we're gonna use items I texture, and that's basically only change we need to do here from previous version. And last error we have here, we need to do this implementation. So items count -1, or instead of -1 I can just do less than item count, because we cannot go out of bounds. And now null I can replace with items ID, which will give us proper item. So let's test it out. So I'm just gonna run it. Item works, button disappears, button appears, equip just closes for now, so it does not matter, and we can see swords actually also working, and IDs are right. And we're gonna add in here 2 textures that will represent equipped items. To do that, I just gonna make this inventory container smaller, about this size, and add our control to texture rects. I'm just gonna add one and then copy and move it to add child node. We already got it in recent texture rect. Create. We're gonna name it empty shield. I'm gonna go to inspector and add a texture that I already added into our project, shield empty PNG. I'm gonna make it expand and just make it bigger. I'm gonna hold shift and increase proportionally and move it here. But other thing, the child of our empty shield, I'm gonna just add a button. Not just button, but actually texture button, because we're gonna apply a texture of equipped item over it. I'm gonna use expand button as well, and in layout I'm gonna do full rect and rename this button to be button shield, and just duplicate this group. Ctrl D, rename it to empty sort button sort. So, and we need to move it. To do that, simple way either log the button, in this case we drag parent, or we can just hide button, and if we unlock it we still drag parent, whatever you prefer. I prefer just to log the things, so in future if I need to move them I don't click on child, I just start to move and hold shift, and if you can see it doesn't move much. And we just need to change the texture to represent our empty sort plot. Also we need to move empty shield and empty sort above overlay, and out just above overlay. So in this case, when we get our overlay here, we don't see these 2 fields above it. And now we can come back to inventory.css and implement 2 functions for both buttons. First one gonna be just public void on ptn shield press, and in this case we're gonna do exact same thing as we do here, but we're gonna implement instead of show info, we're gonna do show gear, but same idea. We need to access our overlay and do over show gear, which we don't have it yet. So let's go to overlay and implement it. So it's gonna be public void show gear, and we're gonna pass item as item, because we're gonna do one method for both shield and sort. Same idea as before. If item equals null, I'm gonna return, and make this control visible. Also, we're just gonna copy that because we need to change just few items in here. It would be better to add them maybe in a separate method, but it's not big code, so we're gonna leave it like that. And we're just gonna change text. I'm just gonna show it sort or shield just in case somehow we got that thing. And because it's already equipped, it's gonna be set button text to unequip. And let's change logic in our buttons. First of all, on the button close, we will need to clear our current item, and on button equip, we gonna handle logic a bit differently. First of all, we still gonna hide this control, the equip button, which is gonna be same thing as here. We're just gonna copy it, and we're gonna check if btn text equals equip, we're gonna emit signal equip, emit signal equip. You also can do instead of string, so you don't care, or if you wanna rename it later, you can do a name of equip. So this thing will just return string, but in this case you can find what it's reference to, and you can simply rename it. And we're gonna pass current item, of course. And in else statement, we're gonna do exact same thing, but instead of equip, we're gonna do unequip. And we're gonna come back to our inventory and implement equip and unequip. First of all, we need to do show gear. And what we're gonna show? We need current item and current gear. I mean, we need current sword and current shield. Private word web for current web. And it's gonna be null at the beginning. Same goes with shield. Or shield. The called she, I don't know. That's name. Consistent. Also null. So we're gonna pass that thing into here. This one on button shield, so we need to pass current shield. And here we're gonna create exact same method, so we're gonna just duplicate it. Instead of shield press, I'm gonna use sword. Instead of show gear current shield, do car web. All good. Now we just need to connect buttons into it. To do that, we come back. Button shield node pressed. Button shield pressed. Connect. Be sure we choose right script and our stuff in inventory. So we're gonna choose. Be sure you choose inventory instead of inventory container. And second one is sort. Same idea. Button sort, pressed. Be sure we choose inventory and connect. So let's implement on equip and on unequip with the signals. You can do it through code or go back to editor, click our overlay, and you can see that overlay.cs has these two signals. It's a custom signals we create. We can do it through here, which is much simpler. Double click, be sure we choose on inventory. And let's do on overlay equip. I'm gonna copy that. Public void on overlay equip. And because we pass item, we just item itm. And repeat the same step for unequip. So the thing is simple. We're gonna check if item is shield or item is sort. We're gonna process. If not, we're just gonna return. In this case, we can just do this one. If this one return true, we're gonna reverse it. If we get false here, we're just gonna do return statement. Just little protection. We should never come here, but to be safe, it's always better. And then we're gonna check which one is which. If item is shield, we're gonna access our shield slot, which is texture button. I'm just gonna call it slot. It doesn't really matter. Slot, cast it. So get node, we're gonna access it from root inventory main empty shield btn shield. And now we need to check if current shield is null or not. If current shield is not null, it means we already have shield equipped and we need to add it back into items. Unless you wanna just throw it away. Our shield not equals null. If it returns true, we just do items, add current shield. Basically, we add it back into items. And then we just replace current shield with our items that you already know it's shield. And now we need to replace texture of our slot. And as you can see, the texture button has a lot of textures. We are interested in texture normal. And we need to remove the shield we just used from items. Else, so because we already know that item is either shield or sword, we can assume that we work in this shield, this sword right now. And we're gonna do exact same thing, which I will just copy it, but instead of shield, we're gonna check current sword, this current weapon, replace current weapon with our brand new sword, change texture and remove old item. And because we just did manipulations with our inventory, we need to call update slots function. And on unequip, we're gonna do almost exact same thing as here. So we want to check if ITM is sword, I mean it's pop up from current weapon. We're gonna set current weapon as null. We're gonna access the weapon slot. We're just gonna copy over there and set slot texture normal to be null as well. And we're gonna add that weapon into our item. We don't even need to cast it here. For that, we're just gonna do else if item is shield, exact same thing, but instead of current weapon, it's gonna be current shield equals null. We also need slot. I'm gonna copy that shield from here. Slot texture null, back item. And because we did manipulation with our inventory, we're gonna do update slots. And let's test it out and see what we get. As we can see, when we click on these buttons, nothing happens. If you press on item, it's just item. We cannot equip it or unequip it. Then we press on shield, we can equip it. Press equip, we can see it now here. And it's a current gear, so we can unequip it now. And it appears on the last item in our inventory. Same thing goes with sword. We can replace swords, and we can see it appears and at the end of the list. We geared up, ready to fight some enemies. Or we can just go into a town and remove all our gear. Do not provoke any guards, something like that. So items in future can be replaced with any usable items you're gonna do with the same logic. Instead of equip, you can just use and add in overlay class a new signal, which will do use instead of equip. That's pretty much how I done it in my game. If you have any questions or suggestions for a new video or how to improve code in this video, please let me know in comment section. I also do live streams at twitch.tv/thedreads. If you enjoyed the video and learned something new, please leave a like, consider subscribing, it's gonna help me a lot.